So logistics-wise, again, my name is Sid Goel. I'm one of the co-founders at KPI Partners and the CTO there. I'll be the MC today. Many of you, I'm sure, are joining from your Zoom rooms, as it's called in California these days. So logistics-wise, all attendees will be muted during the session, but you can send questions via the chat function at any time. Actually, we won't pause, excuse me, for Q&A between speakers, so that's a little incorrect. The session is being recorded. So again, feel free to send me or the entire group any questions through the chat capability in WebEx. And with that, next slide, let me introduce the presenters for today. So in order of presenting, Brian Dominguez. Brian is a Director of Client Services at KPI Partners, and Brian has over 15 years experience in both building analytic solutions for customers and also managing customer relationships to ensure customer success. He's now more on the customer relationship side. He's based out of Boston. Also with us today is Norbert Krupa, who's a solution architect at Talend. He has over 10 years experience in the data space, working in different industries in various roles, from analyst to BI, database administration, so quite technical, consulting and architecting high-volume distributed systems. And lastly, last but not least, Jonathan Tao, who is a partner sales engineer at Snowflake. He's had some experience in similar roles throughout his career working with organizations like Looker and Teradata. And also Prasad Duvary from KPI will be doing the demo portion of the agenda. Next slide. So our agenda today is we will start with what are the key reporting requirements for Oracle ERP customers. So again, sort of put the big four here, but in terms of what we're seeing, Workday is obviously part of the mix. Same thing with Salesforce on the CRM side. What are the limitations of traditional solutions? Obviously, there's a number of options customers have. Brian will go through those. Brian will then do a little bit of an overview of KPI's Cloud Analytics solution with Talend and Snowflake, and that'll sort of set the context for a deep dive on Talend for those of you that are not familiar with Talend's Data Fabric Suite, which Norbert will go through. Then Snowflake, Jonathan will go through for those that are not familiar with Snowflake. Then Prasad will do a demo of the solution we've been talking about that integrates all of these great technologies together, and then wrap up in Q&A. All right, over to you, Brian.
Thanks for everybody for joining KPI, Talend, and Snowflake on today's presentation. We're going to go through this. Hopefully it's very educational and kind of get your minds thinking in some potential opportunities within your organization to engage us. Real quick, KPI, who we are. We've been in business since about 2006, have over 300 consultants, have done easily well over 400 projects, locations, in California, Boston, New York, Cleveland, LA, Charlotte, San Francisco, and 2 offshore facilities in India as well. And you can see our industry segments where we do a lot of our work. We've won quite a few awards in this over the past few years. Kind of the key one for me is the Gartner. The second time, third time now, we've been identified as one of the top BI service providers in the world. We work very closely with Gartner, not only on that portion of it, but Gartner turns to KPI for a lot of evaluations and testing for market products. KPI and Snowflake have a strong partnership. We're a select partner. We have numerous referenceable accounts that we've done with Snowflake. And we run what we call a Center for Excellence, where we have many certified US and offshore resources at various components of Snowflake. And then we also have quite a few utilities to help accelerate and automate the migration from the various platforms to Snowflake. So that's an area we've have a lot of experience in. We are also a Talend partner in a similar situation. We have a Center for Excellence. We have certified US and offshore resources. And in the Talend perspective, we had a lot of pre-built solutions and accelerators where customers come to us and say, we want to transition off, let's say, Informatica to Talend. How do we do it? KPI can help you answer that question. So one of the topics I'm going to jump into now is the key reporting requirements for, as Sid mentioned, Oracle ERP systems. And there's numerous, and it's not just Oracle, it's other ones as well. But the key ones we're going to focus on today, the EBS, Peoplesoft, JDE Edwards, Oracle ERP Cloud, and so forth. And here's where we get, how we look at the technology that's out there. What we're able to provide is a best-of-breed technology. We can mix and change components of our solution from data platforms to BI tools and so forth. So it's able to easily integrate into your, including non-ERP data, and we can use the best of breed for each solution you're looking for. We can support 100% of the reporting requirements that we've been doing for years now, so nothing's going to change on your financial close, operational reporting, your real-time reporting. We provide a lot more self-service. That's a direction a lot of organizations are going into, or let the business build their own reports. And then it's also a fast time to value and a low total cost of ownership. What's nice about this solution is that, again, we have accelerators, pre-built content. It's not going to take months to implement something like this. So some of the limitations of your traditional solutions, and the big example everybody knows of is OBIA, Oracle Business Intelligence Applications. They were very vertical focused on the Oracle stack, and you were stuck with that. So ERP vendors, the challenge we have, or most organizations have, is license costs. Not even to get reporting out of some ERP systems, you have to be a licensed user to do it, to view that report. The high cost of support, ongoing maintenance. It's very hard to bring in other data from third-party systems, especially you don't want to import a ton of data into your ERP system just so you can get a report out of it. And then you're locked into the ERP vendors' tech stack, as I mentioned before. Cloud vendors, there's some optimal technologies right now versus the best of breed. Not everybody has the best of everything. That's why it's nice to be able to pick and choose what components for orchestration, data platform, reporting, ETL. Long time to value, again, if you're going to custom build something, expensive. And then the biggest challenge we see with some of our customers is that they don't have the internal skill to support those cloud solutions. And then the final one is the custom build type stuff. And this is going back 15, 20 years. It just takes a long time to build something from scratch. It's very expensive, many years. And then again, the lack of internal skills to build something from scratch is very difficult for many companies to overcome. A quick case study for you with KPI Cloud Analytics for AP and GL. The company is a Fortune 50 manufacturer and retailer. They're doing business in 60 countries. They have about $17 billion in revenue with 53,000 employees. And so the key thing for them is they needed to make their users more self-sufficient and introduce another tool that was easier for users to pick up, that provided the visualization, and then the IT department wasn't dependent on building everything for them. It was replacing their legacy Discover, which has been out of support for many years, and OBIE. And we're talking, several thousand reports here. And then eliminate the high licensing and support costs for the BI apps. In a lot of engagements, we find that the biggest ROI is them getting off whatever data platform and maintenance, and the BI and the maintenance or support costs for that tool can quickly cover the cost of an implementation like this, because things are much more efficient and less costly in general. For this organization, they had some key requirements that they expected. Fast time to value. With KPI Cloud Analytics, we were able to produce a 60% savings in time and implementation cost as compared to what they thought it was going to take them to do a custom build. There's huge savings right there. We were able to reduce content licensing cost for the Oracle BI apps. As we all know, it's expensive to maintain an Oracle application product. With KPI Cloud Analytics for Snowflake, we have zero content license cost. you do not pay maintenance going forward with KPI, nor do you pay license costs up front. We just ask that we're part of the implementation process. We replace the legacy Discover, OBI reporting, as I mentioned. A lot of companies are picking up products like Tableau because their users become self-sufficient. And that's the goal of most IT organizations. Bring the data to the business unit, let them build the reports for themselves. And they wanted to move to a faster and easier to maintain a platform. Obviously, Snowflake is a great solution for that. They replaced an existing Oracle Exadata data warehouse. As you guys know, that's a huge, expensive appliance, and replaced it with Snowflake with a faster ETL processing, query performances, and it was a 70% reduction in their DBA overhead work, which is another great savings for them. And the other thing, they needed real-time reporting, which they didn't expect to get through the cloud, but yes, we can do that, and we'll show you how to do that with KPI Real-Time BI. So a quick overview of how KPI works with Talend and Snowflake in situations like this, we'll touch on here. So this is a quick overview of the KPI Cloud Analytics solution. And as you see from the left-hand side, this is what we call pre-built content accelerators. But we have the ability to extract data from many, many sources. And we list the top ones to the left. It's not just Oracle, but we do SAP, NetSuite. We also have a lot of Salesforce customers looking to bring data into a warehouse. And you can see here, the data sits on Snowflake throughout the process here. So we take full advantage of all the components within the Snowflake product set. We also take a lot of advantage of Talend's products. And if you notice here, we have the ability to ingest data, either batch, we can use Stitch, cloud integration, data preparation. Those are all part of the Talend Data Fabric tool, a suite of products. And we can use those throughout our process here. In this piece here, you also see we have the L1, L2, and L3. You get all three of those data models from KPI and a few others, which give you a raw data lake, a refined data lake, and then your typical star schema and flat table reports for reporting purposes. So we're able to meet whatever your needs are, whether you're looking for the data lake perspective, if you're looking for flat tables for reporting tools like Tableau or Power BI, or the traditional star schema, we can support any combination of those. And then if you notice to the far right, as we're agnostic to the BI tool that you would like to use. We support Tableau, Power BI, OBIE, if that's still your choice, Click, and ThoughtSpot, as well as others, Looker, and so forth. So this gives you a quick overview of that. And then we also use the Talend in data preparation to bring in third-party data, that you may want to clean up and prep a little. We support the data inventory and data stewards components of Talend to provide the governance that a lot of organizations are using now, especially when you're going to allow the users to start building their own reports with the BI tool of choice. So this is a quick overview, and hopefully this gives you a good perspective. We're going to jump into a demo a little bit later in this engagement, but both Talend and Snowflake are going to explain their parts of this puzzle here. This one slide you see here, if you are in IT, this is the slide you share with your business. From a KPI perspective, this is where most engagements, when we meet with the business, these are the questions that they're asking us for. What am I going to get into this thing, and so forth. We have pre-built reports, we have pre-built metrics, and dashboards. This is what the business understands. Mr. AP, AR, GL, they're going to look and say, okay, what are they getting out of the box for this solution? And we spend a lot of time on this. KPI Cloud Analytics solution contains pre-built ETL, so complete ETL framework built using the Talend Data Fabric. So we bring that based on your source systems, and you can have many source systems. We're not limited to one. We support both on-prem or Talend's cloud solution. The built-in CDC mechanism, we support that, and we support slowly changing dimensions. So you're not losing all these traditional things that are required for a solution like this. We have pre-built data models, just as I mentioned before. There's 5 of them. They all come as part of the solution. They're optimized for Snowflake. It employs dimensional models as well as denormalized models with structured data types. And it supports extensible and is extensible for federated data sources. So we can take your core financial ERP data, HR data, whatever it may be, and also join it to third-party data to get some like logistics and things like that. We have pre-built dashboards. So out of the box, you're getting some pre-built content in a BI tool of your choice, and then it allows you to build from there. And then we also leverage the leading BI tool-based best practices for security and performance. So we can cover that with you as well. And lastly, we provide the security and governance based on some of the tools we just talked about. We follow best practices, years of experience. We can customize those to our customers' needs because everybody has their own way of doing things. And we're integrated with industry-leading data governance tools like Talend Data Catalog and their data inventory solution. Some of the quick benefits that you're going to see quickly out of this is the fast time to value and low total cost of ownership. You see we have a reduced cost of implementation by up to 70%. That's why I mentioned typically an implementation like this, the ROI is very quickly for most organizations. We do it in weeks rather than months. We come with the pre-built content, data models, dashboards, reports, 0 licensing costs for the KPI Cloud solution, customizable and extensible for whatever your needs may be, and then low total cost of ownership of the Snowflake platform, as most of you know. Kind of the best of breed of technology, we've optimized this for Snowflake and for Talend and any of the BI tools that you happen to pick. We can take advantage of the Snowflake data sharing capabilities. We follow the Snowflake best practices to get excellent ETL and report performance, not just good, but excellent performance. In some customers, we're getting better performance off of Snowflake in the cloud than they did on their on-prem solution. We get near instant deployment and scalable. So we're out and up the door very quickly. We can deploy on premises, cloud, or hybrid, depending on what you're looking to leverage and how you want to make the changes over time. And then anywhere, as I showed you earlier, we can leverage the Talend Data Fabric solution. It's a full suite of products that allow you to do everything and maintain your data with technology that you didn't have in the past. And finally, we meet 100% of our ERP users' needs. As I said, we can do financial close, operational reporting, real-time reporting, self-service, alerts, visualization. You're not losing capabilities you have in place today by transitioning over to something like this. And most times it provides more value to you. We can do combined reporting against multiple subject areas. So AR and GL, procurement, spend, HR, any combination you're looking for, we can support from our perspective. What we do is we empower the analysts and data scientists to do their job without having to depend on IT to build everything out for them. And the other key thing is we're scalable. We're governed and enterprise-wide for the single view of the truth. It's something that most companies are still looking to attain. So at this time, I'm going to transition this over to Norbert, and he's going to get into the Talend overview of their Data Fabric suite, and we're going to go from there. Norbert, I'll turn it over to you.
Can you guys hear me all right?
Yes.
All right. So good afternoon or good morning. My name is Norbert Krupa. I'm here today to share an overview of the Talend Data Fabric. We're very thankful for the opportunity to work with KPI and to share how Talend can deliver analytics with Snowflake. So next slide, please. So before we begin speaking about the Talend Data Fabric, what I want to do is begin setting some background about what we hear when we talk to customers. Most of the time when customers are looking to perform those analytics, drive better insights from their data, we will end up hearing these 2 topics, specifically around data management. The first is around point products. So point products are going to deliver a very limited amount of capability. They'll be solving only part of the problem. Of course, they're usually cheap and quick, but at the end of the day, they deliver limited value. So for an organization, they likely won't have the requirements necessary to grow or be successful. The second approach is around platforms, and a lot of these tend to be very expensive, have grown through acquisition, so they, at the end of the day, don't provide a unified platform. And that's one of the things that Talend has always been committed to, is delivering a single and unified experience. And this is where the Talend Data Fabric helps cover these concerns. Next slide, please. You can go ahead and actually build this slide out for me. Perfect. So what makes Talend different, and why should you look at Talend over other data management tools? So first, Talend is unified. It provides a cloud native platform, which has integrated services in a single environment. Next, we provide trusted data so that all users have confidence that the data that they are relying on can deliver those trusted insights and analytics. And lastly, the Talend Data Fabric brings flexibility to be natively deployed on any type of environment, whether that's on-prem, in the cloud, without having to worry about data architecture. And Talend is uniquely positioned so that you don't have to worry about being stuck with a legacy solution that won't work with innovations that are coming tomorrow, or have to worry about cost and maintenance. And with our close partnership with KPI and Snowflake, you can have the peace of mind that you will be able to rely on trusted data as your environment grows with Talend. Next slide, please. All right, so as you'll see, Talend focuses everything around a trust score. This means that the data that you're using to deliver those analytics and insights is trusted. Of course, to make trusted data out of the data chaos, there's four main areas that we focus on. The first is collection of data, making sure that we can connect to any data source, eliminate data silos, and then begin standardizing the data. Next slide, please. The next area is governance. Of course, this can be as simple as just ensuring data quality, all the way to bringing a complete catalog solution that has end-to-end lineage, a business glossary, as well as provides an assessment of the data. And this is extremely important, especially in our modern regulated landscape. Next slide, please. So we can now begin to transform the data to make it fit for purpose and prepare it to be consumed by stakeholders, and then enable them to begin making the right business decisions. Next slide, please. And you can click to build this out. So the final piece here is the ability to share the data internally or externally, gain better insights, and create a more useful experience for any data user through our APIs, as well as our self-service capabilities. And of course, doing all this while delivering trusted data. So let's get into what makes up the Talend Data Fabric. Next slide, please. So inside the data fabric, we have a host of capabilities which allow us to deliver trusted data at speed to customers. When we begin looking at the data journey, we start with ingestion and start off with the Stitch data loader. Stitch was one of our acquisitions not too long ago, and the purpose of this tool is to primarily move cloud data, whether that be SaaS applications or cloud data warehouses. And this tool is perfect and ideal for a marketing analyst or a customer analyst, basically someone that isn't going to be talking to IT. They just want to get insights quickly from their data. The one thing to think about is what happens when you go to actually operationalize the data. Perhaps they will want to apply more rigor to be able to report on it or run dashboards. And that's where the rest of the data fabric provides the advanced capabilities for integration, for quality, and so on. So again, Stitch is an excellent way to get started on moving data, but then creates the need to do more with that data. Moving to the right into data integration, this is our core Talend Studio product that brings the heavy duty industrial strength user interface for doing integration, ingestion frameworks, and quality in one pane of glass. We've also introduced something called the Pipeline Designer under a self-service model, which is totally web-based. And we're doing a lot of investment on this tool to bring more of those heavy-duty capabilities into the cloud. Of course, everything that we do does need data quality, so the data fabric has to have those capabilities to profile, standardize it, match, and so on. Most importantly, we want to make sure that we're complying with regulatory requirements and doing right by our customers when handling their critical information. So this data quality needs to be applied throughout the process and make sure that it's clean and fit for purpose. Moving on to the next section, we have the data inventory. And this is another relatively new cloud-based capability, which provides a unique point of reference for data sources and targets that are consumed within Talend Cloud. What it essentially does is automates the collection of a trust score across data pipelines and provides this golden nugget of information back to the business. So they can now understand, based on crowdsourced ratings, definitions, endorsements, and other interactions with the data, how relevant and trustworthy the data actually is. Next up is data catalog. And what it provides is a metadata and glossary solution with lineage functionality and data dictionaries. It provides context around how transformations are done and what an ID field is, for example, and provides an overall picture of the life cycle of the data from the first time someone profiles it all the way to when it hits a report. And as noted on the slide, it is an add-on service to the entire data fabric. On the self-service side, we have two important applications, which are data prep and data stewardship. And if you haven't had the opportunity to take these out for a drive, there's lots of tutorials and videos out there on these. For data prep, it allows users to actually look at the data, do some quick profiling, and then automatically identify potential issues with the data. Then, especially if you're dealing with data that's going to be coming in on a regular basis, you can perform steps, or what we call a recipe, which you can then actually reuse and drop back into an integration process. For data stewardship, it's similar to data prep in the sense that it enables self-service, which opens doors to more users and now allows us to create workflows around how the data moves through different pipelines. And once we have this visibility, we can then start collaborating with other users and take a more team-based approach to how we work with the data. Last but not least is one of the largest areas of growth for us, which is the API services. And that's just generally known also as data services. But at a basic level, it allows us to take some of the basic logic, which has been created in our earlier processes with integration, and now expose them through APIs. Then when you think more about how cloud and mobile applications work, APIs are actually how they talk to each other, and this is how the information is shared. So with this capability in the data fabric, we have a controlled and reusable way for creating and then testing those APIs. So now that we have an understanding of the products inside Data Fabric, let's look at how we specifically enable that trusted data with Snowflake. Next slide, please. All right, so let's get into that brief overview. So there are many options to choose from in the integration space, to help deliver those analytics on Snowflake faster. Of course, most of these integration tools provide some form of performance optimization, but how many of them actually provide trusted analytics? So what I mean by that is how many tools can actually provide a unified approach to ensuring that the data that the business is using is clean and reliable. And that's where Talend delivers those important insights to ensure that the decisions that are being made by the business are driven by clean and trusted data. The other thing I want to call out is Talend comes out of the box with numerous performance enhancements on Snowflake, such as ELT pushdown, as well as bulk execution. In addition, Talend provides self-service tools, which will help IT and the business collaborate and ensure that all stakeholders are represented through the entire governance process. Next slide, please. So as we mentioned, Talend delivers the ability to bring in diverse data in a unified approach with those performance optimizations, and most importantly, in a trusted way. So whether you're looking to start fresh, migrate your workloads to cloud, or replicate and expand, Talend brings several tools to help all these use cases possible. Lastly, Talend's many years of big data experience allows organizations to leverage large-scale processing frameworks to take analytics to the next level and really make the most out of data warehousing in the cloud. Next slide, please. So for existing Snowflake users, Talend provides the Stitch data loader directly as part of Partner Connect so that you can easily begin loading data and delivering insights. And in addition, Talend is actually working on bringing more features of the Talend Data Fabric into Partner Connect, which is targeted by the end of this year. Next slide, please. So as we heard, Talend can help organizations start fresh, migrate, and let's look at some of these examples. So beginning with a health insurer, which needed a fresh start. In this particular scenario, the healthcare insurer was formed as a spinoff and had IT infrastructure on loan for just a short period. So they needed to quickly build their own infrastructure. The goal for them was to go after new markets that had not been previously covered and provide critical business analytics. For them, they did not have any data warehouse or other data management tools in place, and were able to leverage Talend with Snowflake to quickly connect various data sources and build that single source of trusted data. Next slide, please. And in this next scenario, we have a bicycle manufacturer that was not quite ready to replace their legacy ETL and data warehouse. However, they were quickly growing, had new use cases, data and users, and the cycle of bringing on new analytics programs were too cumbersome with the usual exercises of funding, procurement, and so on. So for this particular scenario, Talend was able to deliver a scalable solution while preserving the existing analytics systems and delivering a process to quickly expand new data sources as they were brought into Snowflake. Next slide, please. Lastly, we have the migration of a pharma servicer that had an obsolete data warehouse and data management architecture, as you can see on the top right. Their main goal was to migrate to the cloud. However, they wanted to preserve certain data assets around their integrations, some data schemas, and so on. And when they went to actually explore migration solutions, they quickly found that ETL didn't translate very easily to cloud, and their databases had very complex logic, which would make the migration very cost prohibitive. So with Talend, the pharma servicer was able to leverage our conversion tool to quickly convert the integrations and then quickly move into a Snowflake data warehouse. And with a single Snowflake service, they were actually able to make the switch in just under 6 months and enable the business to launch new applications, onboard more users, all while minimizing their migration costs. So just to quickly wrap up, no matter the use case, we're very uniquely positioned with KPI and Snowflake to handle all customer demands. And with that, I'm going to turn it back over to Brian.
Awesome. Actually, this is Jonathan Talend. I'm jump in here. So hi, everyone.
Thank you, Jonathan.
Snowflake. Hi. Okay, cool. So I'm going to take you really quickly through the introduction of Snowflake and really what we're seeing in the market from our clients or prospects is 3 categories, main categories. First one being the rise of the cloud, right? Customers are more and more getting involved in the cloud and having more of their technology, more of their data stack live on the cloud, have their services run there. That's coupled with the explosion of data, right? More and more data sources are being brought to bear, having different types of structures, unstructured, semi-structured, and structured data having to be analyzed and providing a lot of value if you can actually get your hands around it. Lastly, diversification of analytics. Really, this simplifies into everyone is really an analyst, everyone has that hat and wants to perform that type of work in their job function. Next slide, please. So because of these requirements or these demands, the request of these prospects is to have a technology that can make better, quicker business decisions, all while doing it at a cheaper and more manageable, easier to manage way. Right? Lastly, they want to create a great customer experience when working with that data. And that involves both the internal customer, right? The different business units. Earlier, we were talking about how ERP traditional approaches are very difficult, siloed, working with the tools and analysis directly on top of that platform, right? They want something better than that. So whether it's an internal customer in that like that, or whether it's an external customer, maybe you're running a third-party dashboard service out to your customers themselves, both experience wants to be, is trying to be much cleaner, much more efficient in the modern day. Next slide, please. So this slide might actually look quite familiar to you, right? A traditional data architecture, the data stack, treating data from the left to the right, taking it from the source to the presentation layer, travels through many different sections, touches many different technologies, and data warehousing really is just one piece of the puzzle. And really, I want to show you this just so you understand where Snowflake is able to take a part of. Next slide, please. I think we skipped one, right? No? Okay. Go ahead, go on one slide. And so actually what Snowflake is going to be able to do is offer a single platform that has unlimited performance and scale and secure governance to all the data, all while providing this as a managed service, right? It's very important to understand that Snowflake is deployed as a SaaS-based product, right? And we're going to take on a lot of that typical data warehousing jobs and applications on ourselves so that you, the customer, can focus on doing the primary, most value-added things with your data. Next slide, please. Right, so here is where exactly Snowflake is able to fit into the data stack. Right, we're looking at not only playing directly within the data warehousing space, but actually solving for 6 distinct workloads across sort of the data functionality. Right, so when you talk about performing different operations on the data lake or data engineering space, whether you're trying to share data with different vendors, having to break down the ETL barriers there if necessary, we're able to do that, and Snowflake is really a cloud data platform in that respect. Right now, it isn't a do-it-all type of solution, right? We do depend on our great partner network, our tech partner network, to provide services in those areas that you see above. So above the graphic, you see things like ETL, ELT, event streams, and data cataloging. Talend's a great partner in this space, specifically addressing those 2 key areas of building out your data stack that the Snowflake platform is leaning on our partners to do. And of course, we have other spaces that we will leverage our third-party partners with, and that we'll explain in the upcoming slide. Next slide, please. Right. So we take a closer look at the architecture, drilling one level deeper. The Snowflake architecture can really be broken down into 3 major tiers, starting from the Snowflake managed centralized storage, right? This goes back to single copy of the data, right? That I mentioned 2 slides earlier. It's then we take a look at the second tier, which is the idea of having a multi-cluster compute layer. Notice that this layer is completely separate from the managed storage layer. We're able to completely separate compute from storage, which is one of the key tenets of the platform and a key differentiator compared to other technologies out there in the market. Also note how each one of those slices in the second tier is separate from each other. We achieve workload isolation, which allows you to have independent workloads maintain their SLAs, have their own dedicated compute, again, working on that same copy of the data. Lastly is the scale out or compute services, which allows Snowflake to behave like a traditional enterprise data warehouse with RBAC, access control, ACID compliance, transactional consistency, as well as the metadata pointer manipulation that allow us to have a lot of unique features in the market. Next slide, please. Great. So it's important to take a look at how Talend is fitting in here in the idea of having multiple workloads working at the same time, right? Specifically playing in that ETL ELT space, right? And how we're also able to leverage and run additional workloads again at the same time because we do have workload isolation on the platform. So sales or the ERP, the finance department can have their own consumption workload running at the same time as data ingestion, whether it's streaming or batch loading is occurring at the same time. As you can see, data science can also be using their own configured amount of compute to run their workloads as well. Next slide, please. You can click through to the next slide. Thanks. So really to wrap up, there's one key sort of takeaway, next slide, about Snowflake that I think is actually really important and a lot of people kind of gloss over is the near zero maintenance nature of the platform. Right, listed on the screen are a lot of operations that you guys are probably very familiar with when it comes to managing a data warehouse or data platform, whether it comes to infrastructure updates and managements there, or anything around query performance, query tuning, whether it's partitioning, statistics collection, indexing, vacuuming, these type of processes. Next slide, please. Snowflake is, again, taking care of that for you through its unique way of using an append-only pointer manipulated Snowflake managed storage, right, to essentially tune and provide the proper optimal way to query on the platform. Also, again, taking care of the infrastructure, right? We're going to upgrade, we're going to patch completely zero downtime. It's going to behave like a true managed service. It's really key to why Snowflake is really easy to use and why we have such a high NPS score in this area. Next slide, please. Great. So
thank you, Jonathan.
Yeah.
So everyone, now we're going to jump in a second. We're going to jump into the KPI Cloud Analytics that's running on top of Talend and Snowflake. I'm just going to mention a few quick things here. Again, looking at this solution, as we talked about earlier, KPI Cloud Analytics sits on top of Snowflake and incorporates a lot of the features of the Talend Data Fabric. We ingest data from the various sources, and we can do multiple sources. And as you see, we have the layer 1, the raw data lake. Layer 2, we have a refined data lake. 3 is your traditional star schema, but we also have reporting tables and machine learning models for those as well. And then obviously putting whatever BI tool you're looking for on top. What we're going to touch on in our demo today is the financials and some inventory, but they will be coming out of the layer 3 data model. And Prasad in a moment is going to kind of walk us through that. I just wanted to give you some perspective of where we are in the whole KPI Cloud Analytics. We've gone through, from a KPI perspective, the value Talend adds to this picture, the value Snowflake adds to this picture, and now you're going to see some content that we can deliver quickly upon deployment. We also have some other areas, sales pipeline from Salesforce, incorporated into this demo model, and HCM analytics. So with that, I'm going to transition over to Prasad and go from there. Prasad?
Hey, thank you so much. Thanks, Brad. Can you see my screen?
Yep, I'll make it a full screen.
Yes, sir. All right. So thank you, Brian. What I'm going to show today is KPI's pre-built suite of analytics, which is powered by Talend and Snowflake. For this demo, let's assume that I'm a director at a manufacturing company, director of finance at a manufacturing company. The pre-built suite of reports, which are powered by Snowflake and Talend, bring together data from disparate systems within our organization, not only in a reliable manner, but also make the data very useful for us and make the data an integral part of our decision-making process. So how do I typically start my work week? I go to my finance suite of reports. And as part of finance suite, the first place I go to is general ledger. In GL, from the pre-built suite of pre-built suite of reports, I get access to various dashboards. But for the sake of answering the first question during my work week about profitability of my organization, I go to the income statement. Here, I get to answer questions like, what is the profitability within my organization? What is the expend analysis trend look like? What is profit by quarter? And what is the income during the current period? After I answer this question, the next question I look to answer is, how is the cash inflow within the organization? And in order to get that question answered, I switch over to accounts receivable suite of reports. And here, along with billing, invoicing, and customer balance, etc., I have access to, well, what is a highly reliable aging report, which tells me what is the current average age of my open invoices across various departments, what is the average aging period, and who are my serial offenders from customer standpoint, whom I need to get in touch with to make sure my organization can keep the cash flows optimal. Again, all the aggregations that are required to churn up data for aging to support aging style reporting is made possible by Snowflake and Talend. The next question I typically look to answer is any activities that we were planning, any initiatives that we were planning within the organization. Like, for example, we are looking at ways to minimize the holds that are getting applied on my payables invoices, which is a matter of annoyance sometimes for my department liabilities processing department. So here I have access to a detailed list of invoices that are on hold. And oftentimes within my organization, this can be a large data set. And thanks to Snowflake and Talend, this data is available at a click of a button for me and my team who can go after the various individual invoices and take care of the business. Now, for any manufacturing organization, optimal inventory levels is the key to keeping a very good cash position. For that, I have, as part of the KPIs pre-built suite of cloud analytics, I have my inventory on-hand report, which not only gives me an insight into what my top 10 on-hand inventory by organization, by item, etc. Thanks to Snowflake's data sharing capability, I'm able to share this information, my on-hand information at the item level with my vendors who find it very, very useful and often very highly prepared to keep my inventory levels optimal by planning and replenishing my inventory levels. The next set of reports I look for is the sales pipeline. Sorry about that. Let me quickly log in. So the sales pipeline. Now we planned for inventory. We looked at the profitability. We are taking care of all the operations within the finance department. Now, what does my sales pipeline tell me? What should I be prepared for? Are there any surprises? Are there anything Are there any things I need to do proactively? So here, my sales pipeline report tells me very clearly what my current opportunities are and how we are able to convert those opportunities and which one of these prospect opportunities would require planning ahead of time. So that is made possible thanks to Talend and Snowflake being able to connect with my CRM system and process the data for me, so we can get access to this information. Last but not least, people. Do I have right people positioned in right locations, in right roles, doing the right kind of work, etc., etc. To answer that question, the first dashboard I look to is the workforce headcount dashboard, which not only gives me the cool information, highly useful summary information such as gender-wise breakdown of my headcount, what is my total headcount, average tenure, etc. It also gives me headcount by region, which is very, very critical in a manufacturing environment that I am involved in, because it's important for me not only to know how many people are employed by us, but also to make sure they are positioned in the right job locations and within the job categories. So that's how the analytics help me perform my duties. Thank you so much. Over to you, Brian.
Thanks, Prasad. Let me just switch over here. Sid, if you could jump on now and go into the Q&A session that we talked about a second ago.
Brian, the first question is the entire solution free? You mentioned that a component of the solution is free. So which parts do I have to pay for, and which parts are at no cost?
So obviously, in response to that, the question there, there's a Snowflake portion of it, and the Snowflake persons will, tell you what the cost associated with that. Then the Talend component of it, there's some costs associated to that. From a KPI perspective, we do not charge license fees for our pre-built content. Our only condition is that we do the implementation of the solution. So we're bringing our toolbox to the table and not charging maintenance nor license costs for that, just the implementation services.
The next question is for you as well, Brian. What clouds, can this solution be deployed on-premise and cloud? And then secondly, which clouds does this solution support?
So yes, we can do both on-prem and cloud. So that's absolutely the case. And then from a cloud perspective, we support any of them: Google, AWS, Azure, and then obviously Snowflake, and also the Talend Cloud we support as well.
Norbert, the next question is for you. Does Talend do you have to pay extra for Talend to connect to Snowflake?
Yeah, great question. So Snowflake connectivity comes out of the box with the subscription. We don't charge extra for connectors. So if you are connecting to 20 Snowflake data warehouses or 100, you're not paying extra.
Okay. And the next one's for you as well, which is, does Talend have any adapters for common ERP and CRM systems as well?
The answer is yes. Those are all part of our extensive connector suite.
Excellent. Okay. I had a question from Krishna, perhaps for you, Brian. Actually, I'll take one for Jonathan first. Jonathan, which clouds does Snowflake support? And also, some customers want to do kind of a virtual private cloud within one of the cloud providers. Do you guys support that scenario?
Good question. Yeah, so we're GA and Sorry?
Could you repeat that? It broke up a little bit, Jonathan.
Okay, yeah. So we're GA in all three major clouds: AWS, Azure, and GCP. There is no option to deploy Snowflake directly within an existing VPC. However, we do have something called virtual private Snowflake, which would essentially be, a reserved set of infrastructure in one of those three clouds only for you. So that would be the alternative option.
Okay, excellent. Thank you. A question for you, Brian, from Krishna. He said, what's the coverage? You mentioned the Oracle BI apps, so what's the coverage for KPI Cloud Analytics as compared to the Oracle BI apps, for example? Which modules for are?
Just about the exact same list of modules that Oracle BI apps covered. So, obviously the financials, AP, AR, GL, the HR ones, and all the various component subject areas with under HR. Manufacturing, we've deployed at places, procurement, spend, supply chain. So we have components of all those apps that you're familiar with, as well as into sales and service as well.
Excellent. The next question I'll take, which is, how are you leveraging, this is from Aruna, how are you leveraging machine learning algorithms, especially in IoT? And just for simplicity, we actually, the three layers that Brian showed you in terms of the data lake and the star schema, the reporting layer, we actually have another layer as part of the cloud analytics solution, which is for data science. And that's typically an aggregated layer where we aggregate the data further for machine learning algorithms. And of course, IoT is a very common scenario. We have a medical devices company that brings in IoT data and looks at it in addition to sales data. In their case, it's surgical robots data that they bring in to the cloud analytics solution. It's a great question. The next question I have is from Joey in terms of the different types of data. And I'll start with you, Jonathan. In terms of structured, semi-structured data, how is that handled? And then the same question for you, Norbert, in terms of how Talend deals with both structured and semi-structured data.
Yeah, so on the Snowflake platform, you simply load structured and semi-structured data the same exact way. We have a special data type where you load the entire, say, JSON object entirely into that column, and we do the work on the back end essentially to more or less collect statistics and distribution of the underlying elements in that object to give you the equivalent performance across structured, semi-structured, and structured data.
Yeah, from the Talend side.
Same question for you.
Yeah, sure. So from the Talend side, we can handle any type of data format, especially when we start getting into the healthcare space, starting to work with more complex EDI type data formats, ABCDIC, what have you. We have complex data mappers that can also help with that process. So that's all within the tool.
Jonathan, if I recall, Snowflake has kind of native support for JSON and XML, if I remember, right?
Yep, that's exactly right.
The next question, I think we've covered all the questions, and we're 3 minutes over, so my apologies. And so really, Brian, maybe just go to the, just sort of wrap up and talk about next steps, if you would.
Sure. So as we talked on this slide earlier, but I just wanted to go back and to recognize and realize the benefits of the solution we're presenting with you today between KPI, Talend, and Snowflake. You see the fast time to value, the low total cost of ownership, the best of breed in technologies. You can pick and choose components in the solution. And we know we can meet 100% of your ERP user needs. And that I think we articulated and demonstrated through this webinar. We've done our Q&A. We just want to next steps for any follow-up on this. Please feel free to contact KPI, and we've provided with the appropriate information with that. Feel free to contact Talend, and everybody reach out to Tom, and he'll be able to direct you in the appropriate directions. within the Talend organization. And then in Snowflake, obviously communications through them as well. We can get you the answers you're looking for, and any follow-up if you'd like to see a demonstration more personalized towards your needs, a POC to see some of your data in a solution like this. Definitely feel free to contact any one of us, and we'll make that happen for you. Sid, any other areas you want to touch?
No, I think that's great. Thank you to all the presenters today. Thank you, Brian. Thank you, Jonathan. Thank you, Norbert. We very much appreciate it. And as always, send any questions that you have to info@KPI Partners that we weren't able to cover, and we'll get it to the appropriate person. Thank you very much for attending this webinar.
Have a great day. Thank you.